You're still coming up short with these microgreen trays. Specifically with your sunflower, that's cool, I got you, say no more. This video I'll be sharing with you some of the tips and tricks I've learned to deal with sunflower mold for growing microgreens now for over a decade. In very small greenhouses to my 12 by 31 greenhouse I'm standing in now. Even though we're talking about sunflower, y'all can use a lot of these tips for other microgreens as well. I'll be letting you guys know why you more than likely see the mold when you do in your sunflower microgreens. I'll be letting you know where I find the most likely areas to actually develop mold on your sunflower microgreens. One thing to avoid, definitely want to be paying attention all the way to the end on this one, y'all. I even added one of my old school Easter eggs that I'm pretty sure will help you get rid of mold on your sunflower microgreen throughout the course of the year here in Zone 9. However, these tips should help where you are too. Hey. This is growing microgreens outdoors, y'all. Yeah, say it. You want to see the Xanadu? Yep. You want to see the Xanadu? Here's one that I have not spoke about in a long time doing that is sunflower microgreen. The problems that I'm finding or that I'm hearing about growing sunflowers seeming to be more specific to areas that are a little bit more moist than what I am here. However, the technique that I'm going to show you guys on how to grow sunflower microgreen is from a cat from Canada, Mr. Curtis Stone. Salute you, sir. Also, man, being out here in Southern California, at the very beginning, maybe we have problems growing our sunflower microgreen.
Problem children.
I really haven't had that big of an issue with them as of late, or really for years, to be honest. Here in Fontana, dude, we're extremely dry. So I think that's probably one of the biggest reasons as to why I don't have any kind of issue, or at least not as many issues others face with sunflower microgreens in different climatic zones. Even here in Zone 9, when I do see mold popping up, it's not normally a lot, but when I do see mold popping up consistently, it's generally around our quote unquote rainy season. But here we are, y'all. We got the sunflu, and it's just time for me to unstack them, or like I like to call flipping them. A couple things that I like to do when it comes to the sunflower, y'all, is one, I will soak them pretty much overnight. Less than 8 hours, no more than 24 hours. However, sometimes they do go a little bit longer depending on what it is that I got going on. Another thing that I will do, and this is probably the key to growing other sunflower, after I soak them, now I'm just gonna pretty much let these things sit until tomorrow. It's been right about allow them to sit until they actually pop or sprout. They've already sprouted. You dig? Bye-bye. These ones actually went over quite a bit. So I am noticing that there's a little bit of a mold. I'm not gonna really call it an issue. There's some mold kind of popping up just because the amount of time they actually allow them to sit. Next thing I would do is just go ahead, of course, seed them out. Now here's a tip I really don't do anymore, Easter egg. However, if I'm in a jam with my sunflower microgreens, I'd go to this before I went to food grade hydrogen peroxide. Seeing that they've already sprouted, what seeds normally do is basically it gets mucusy. If I were asked, I think this mucus is probably one of the causes to a lot of the mold that you get during germination. What I've been doing, simply spraying it off or rinsing it off. Here where I'm at, I don't really use vermiculite like I did this time, unless of course my seeds have been oversprouted. I allow these guys to sit in their container for maybe like a day longer than what they should have. And so now the sprout gets extremely long, making it really hard for the sunflower to redirect themselves back into the soil. So did y'all just find another Easter egg? There's a cat. Seeing I no longer have any sunflower, please allow me to explain what this pea. This is never really the goal. Let's just get into it, man. Before I seed them out, let me stop for a second. Normally, I allow these pea to actually sprout in this bucket. I got a freaking tripod, homie. Do that shit now. The DTM has now begun. Without me doing anything but putting water in here and allowing them to sprout. I do this with pea. I do it with sunflower. Yeah, I do it with cilantro. Kind of tricky to do it with cilantro. When you get to a certain length, that is bad. I mean, ultimately, you're going to still be able to get a crop out of them. The idea is for me to kind of catch the sprout at the right time in terms of its length. Now what I'm doing is sending all this energy. Dude, I keep dropping these, man. One, I'm beginning to run the risk because eventually that pea is going to run out of energy. Now I'm asking the pea or the plant redirect its energy to a different direction than where it's going right now. So I'll vermiculite on top of them or soil, and then that allows them to redirect themselves back. If you're in Zone 9B, I would definitely say don't go spending extra money on vermiculite. It's just not that needed. I am doing some testing with vermiculite with cilantro. We really just don't need it out here, man, growing like this. Maybe in an indoor type of a situation, maybe that's when you should go ahead and crush that. But right now, dog, you don't need that. I'm gonna go ahead and say it, you don't need it. Seeing that I have so much of it, I just go ahead and use that for my topper, because what else am I gonna use it for? Eventually it's all gonna go out into my garden anyway. Beans in there, like long beans in there. So I let it ride. That being said, another thing that I definitely would do when it comes to growing sunflower microgreens. So if I've recently changed a microgreen seed provider, or I've noticed that I'm constantly getting mold in, I guess, sunflower for this instance, is I simply check the stack. You keeping your microgreens inside those stacks, you've now created the perfect breeding ground for mold. This might be a dundada. And now by introducing like a whole new climate to the mold, I'm now forcing that mold to either adapt or just die, because the path of least resistance is a lot more resistant. Whenever I had any kind of issues with any kind of my microgreens consistently, what I'll do is, even if they're not ready to come out of the stack, I'll lift them out of the stack, restack them. What this does, y'all, is allows more airflow inside the stack to disturb any kind of would-be mold. Sometimes that's all it really takes. Depending on the type of the seed, if it is a sunflower where you get a little bit more moisture climates, I would definitely watch doing this next step. I would water them down. If I was seeing any kind of mold outbreak, like kind of misting with with one of these. I haven't even taken this guy out of the box. Go ahead and unbox that shit, man. Around and got myself a DeWalt, man. I can't remember exactly how much this thing cost, dude, but I think it cost right about $100. Get them much less expensive. I wanted this one specifically for the nozzle that it has. This little metal tip, because as my microgreens grow, it makes it really easy to now get inside the canopy when it comes to watering them, especially at the farmer's market, or even when it comes to watering them here. On the low, I forgot I had to put this thing together. And then you do this. All right, y'all, so what I got in here now is pretty much just water. That's it. It's nothing special. Go ahead and pump it up. Lock it in. Cool. All right, y'all, so if you guys look closely, you'll see there's like little bits of mold. And I'll do this every day, meaning like 1 or 2 days. It could go up to like 4 or 5 days. Right now, we're at close to 4 days. Honestly, y'all, I just go in and I just blast it, with the water. I try to get as close as I can. I like using these types of nozzles just because I can get really close. With your smaller seeds, you're gonna probably have to lift up a little higher so you don't dislodge what's already getting into the soil. I'll just go through, y'all, and just blast any of these little mold colonies that I'm seeing before the whole thing colonizes my whole entire tray. But after I flip them, so you got microgreens getting into the soil, we're looking kind of good, then I just simply water. That's gonna do the exact same thing. It's gonna dislodge any mold. That's kind of it for sunflower. That's all I really have to do out here, man. If you guys do have any kind of spray or whatever that you want to spray on it that you feel is magical, go ahead and drop that on there. At this point, you'll notice, man, within like the next couple of days, there won't really be any mold. I've already disrupted that species of molds path of least resistance. What it likes, what it wants to thrive, I've kind of changed that. Your structure, where you keep your microgreens, it's going to begin to develop its own immune system to a lot of said would-be mold and diseases. Catching it early is always the best. It doesn't always work out. Checking, making sure that you are cool. I sprayed these ones off yesterday, y'all. Now I'm really not seeing much. One of the better ways to get rid of any of your mold. I'll talk to you, man. Peace.